Hi, Dyslexic Genius here. I'm back on the Victor M 1901 model, and I'm going to show you how to get the two spring barrels apart, especially this gear, the winding crank gear. You need a set of punches, one really small punch and one medium size like this. These are sterets. You need some steel spacers or wooden spacers. You might have to cut those out. And you need a V-block like this. You could probably find a real cheap set on Amazon, but MSC or any other industrial machinist supply place to do it. I just go to like Amazon or eBay and find the cheapest thing you can find. You need a windshield wiper puller. You need a wooden dowel. I have machined out a piece of brass for this because for me that's the way I work. And I can show you how to do this. The first thing you're going to do is we have this gear and the winding crank gear. So what we need to do is we have to take this spring out. So you knock the end plate off, pull the spring out, mark down what direction it came out. It came in because it was dented here. This is an easy fix. Now what you have to do is you have to get your windshield wiper puller, and on mine I had to grind this down on both sides of the piece that grabs here. I had ground here and on the inside, because when everything's together and the shaft, the spring barrel shaft is going all the way through, this gear sits very tight here. So you literally have to take it, the winding crank, push down like this to get enough space under the gear to come in here to get it to catch, and then we start pulling the gear. And pulling the gear is you lock these two pieces under the bottom of the gear, then you crank it in so the two teeth fit under the gear, and then you crank this like that, and that'll hit the shaft that's coming out, and the gear should pop up. On these, and I do this on a piece of 2x4, on these we have to look at burrs and resistance. Also, you see the two slots? Well, there's a pin under the gear that this fits onto, and that pin has one fat side that's kind of tapered. So once you've hooked all this up and pulled it off, and because of the burrs, I spaced it up like this, and you want to go the whole length of the barrel, and then I just took this punch and I tapped a little, because every time you tap, this shaft moves in and out. So you tap it and it goes down like this, the pin hits the barrel. So you have to keep spacing up to get the gear off.
So that's why you have it elevated on
Yes,
wood?
yeah. I would do this, and then I put a couple of wood shims in here, give it a tap, and it finally came off because of the burrs. Once you get the gear off, and I had a problem with it because the windshield wiper puller slipped off once. And this happens. You know, you do this stuff and you be really careful, and it even happens to me. I will show you in a later video how
it slipped off and did what?
It marred it right here. In a later video, I'll show you how you take a knife edge jeweler's file, and we'll file this out. See, this file bottoms out, and we have a wiggle room here. I'll show you how to fix this in a later video. Now we have to get this pin out, just to get the shaft out. So we will set 1 2x4 here, and one over here, and we will set the V-blocks up. And now we want the V-block to rest on this small diameter of the spring barrel shaft, and this is 1/4 of an inch. And on this side, we want it on the small area too here, so that everything is sitting straight. So we will set this up. Now you will rotate over, and the pin will be sticking up a little on this side. So you will take a hammer and the punch, and you will tap it down like that. And once it goes down a little, then you will come in with a thinner punch and go tap, 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 and the pin will fall out. And then you will end up with this pin, and you can see we have a fat end and a small end.
Okay, so it's tapered.
And you really need to use magnetic trays I get from Harbor Freight, because you don't want to lose that pin. So we'll put it here, and it's stuck down. Now we have to undo this spring, because we've taken this one out. We'll pull the spring barrel, the shaft out. And you can see here the roughness here. And somebody has beat on the end of this at one time, and we had to just forcibly get the gear off, but the gear is savable. Now we have to get the spring barrel apart. You can use a small dowel like this, about 3/8 wooden dowel, or to knock it apart. Or if you have a lathe, you can machine yourself one. It'll stick in here like that. So you turn it around, because I'm right-handed, and you'll stick the dowel over here, and you'll give everything a tap, and you keep rotating it around, and you have your hand up here, and you'll get it, and it'll come apart. You'll hear it go pop. Now we can take the spring barrel apart. We can take this out. When we get this out, we're going to mark what direction it came out, so we put it back in the right place. And on this early stuff, it gets really complicated. And you look at this. They made these out of brass. It's wonderful. And you have to take your time, be slow. Don't beat on things with a hammer like Uncle Bubba. And sometimes the windshield wiper pullers do slip. And that's my tip for the day.